Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. I want to talk to you today about another in my series of comic related videos on buying blue chip but low grade comics as an investment. So these are keys that are going to be keys today, tomorrow, in the future. Blue chip established comics that are just of low grade. And generally, I'm looking at a lot of Silver Age, some Golden Age, a few modern, but very few, because it's generally with these low grades that you want to kind of focus on that more historic character, like something from the Silver or Golden Age. So, with that all said, I kind of want to get into a little bit about investing and looking at some of the terms that are frequently used within investment. One of the biggest terms is liquidity. Now, liquidity is a term that means basically how easy is it to turn your asset or your investment into cash? How quickly can you get that money out of your investment? And that's really important. And that's another reason why I kind of are like the point of these videos is to really show that these low grade comics have that liquidity, that they are very easy to convert from a book into cash, because there's a huge number of people that are interested in these books and they're affordable, so a lot of people can afford to buy the books. So with that all being said, I'll show you the comic that I'll be featuring in this video right now. And it is Amazing Spider-Man number 14. This is the first appearance of the Green Goblin. It's a low grade. It's a 2.5. So these low grades, when I refer to low grades, I'm saying anything below a 3. And that's really the cutoff that I'm using for these videos. So this is what would be considered a fairly beat up book. This one presents fairly well, actually. You know, the reason it actually got the low grade is the cover is detached. So it presents quite well. It's just that the cover has been detached, and that kills the grade. So just so you know. Now, with these low grade comics, my investment in them is fairly low. So, for example, but this is still a pricey book. So I'll just give you the numbers. So for this one, I spent $870. So as I said, it's a fairly pricey book, even in the low grade. But that, to me, like anything around that $1,000 mark or under, is a pretty mild investment. Typically, when you're investing in stocks, you're buying anywhere from 10,000 plus in terms of stocks. So comics, to me, offer, maybe it's the poor man's investment, and it's just a way that you can sort of invest without having to put yourself at a huge risk, and at the same time getting something that you might love and cherish, like I do. So I like this comic. So yeah, with that said, let's look at the numbers and see how good of an investment this has been and how good it will be in the future. So we look at the numbers, and as I said, I'll read it quickly here. It says Amazing Spider-Man number 14, first appearance of the Green Goblin. Fair market value for a high grade 9.8 is 143 or 45,000, and the last sale has been in 2015. So just not really much sales history for those high grades, and that's really what I kind of want to get into, is this concept of liquidity, and that you want to have something that you can get your money out quickly. If you need the money, you want to be able to get that money quickly. Well, these high grade ones, it's quite hard to get those high sales, because there's just not that many people that can afford that, and the market is fairly small. Now, there are people that will pay big money, and you can sometimes get those big sales, but it's a much harder sale. It's a slower sales cycle. As you can see, there hasn't been a sale since 2015. There's more of the 9.6s. You can see there was 27 on the census, and there just hasn't been. There was a sale as recently as May. But when you get into these lower grades, you'll see even like the 5.5s, like February, September, you see that the sales cycle is much, much quicker. And the sales volume, which is the number of sales, is much higher. So so my 2.5, I overpaid actually at the time, and I knew that. I actually knew that I had overpaid um, because I bought it at Heritage, and I didn't look at the buyer's premium, and I just wanted to get the book. I kind of overpaid out of the excitement of trying to win the auction, and in a way, I lost on this investment because I paid $870 with the buyer's premium added on. My bid was actually 700, but with all the buyer's premium, it kind of went above that. So 870. So I lost 20 bucks. So now if I wanted to get my money back out, you can see just with the sales volume, it's fairly active. It's like one of those things where I could probably get my 870 back if I really needed it, or maybe even a little bit more if I'm lucky, if I could sell it, to somebody that with the prices kind of going up right now. So the point is, I can get my money out pretty quickly because there is that activity, there's that sales volume where people are constantly trying to buy this book. And you can see like the lower grades just have more frequent sales and more recent sales. The other thing, we can go deeper into the numbers a little bit and see how well does this investment perform. And you can see like maybe the lowest grade here, like a 1.8, didn't perform that well. But if you think about it, you're buying the book at like 500 bucks, you're losing about $50 in investment. That is nothing. that's not a big deal. Losing 50 bucks is okay. Losing $1,000 when you spent like $100,000 on something becomes a bigger deal. The numbers matter, right? So these lower grade books are a safer investment because the amount of loss that you can potentially have is fairly minimal. And you'll notice even my 2.5, they say that there's a 20% growth. As I said, I've overpaid at the time. I knew that I overpaid at the time. And really the market's catching up to where I overpaid. And that's sometimes what happens. It happens even with stocks. You can overpay on a stock, and sometimes you have to wait for that market to catch up to where you overpaid to. So that happens. But you can see that the general trend is up. And the general trend for the lower grade ones is up fairly good. It's up like about 20% year to year. So that's not too bad. And that's really the kind of point that I'm trying to make. So even though I overpaid, probably by 2022, which is next year, I would have actually made money on my investment, and even made money proportionally to had I taken that same money and invested it in like something where it's a guaranteed interest rate. Like usually you're typically when you invest in buying a bond or something like that, you're getting like only 3 to 5%. And this comic, probably within 2 years, I'm going to be making about 10 to 20%. So I made more, I did better buying this than I had bought something which had a guaranteed fixed interest increase. So that's my point, that I get something that I love, which is this comic, and at the same time I can enjoy some year-to-year return. So as an investment model, it's a pretty good one. But really getting back to liquidity, this kind of sales activity shows me that I can, if I ever want to get my money out, like some of these guaranteed interest bonds or stocks, you're basically stuck in that for a while because they usually have a maturity date or something like that. With comics, you can pull that money out quickly, and generally, it's not one of those things you report to the government. Hush hush on that one, but the idea is that you can pull it out without having to then go to the government and say, oh, look, I had this return on my investment, blah, blah, blah. And you generally don't have to worry about it as much with comics because it's kind of a sale to sale thing. it's one of those things, unless you're selling in huge volume. If you're selling one comic here, one comic there, you probably don't have to write it off on your or mention it on your taxes. The government might get mad at me for saying this, so hush hush, don't tell anyone from the government. But yeah, generally that's what happens. I personally don't sell my books, so that's what happens. But just so you know, like if you look actually at the eBay prices, you'll see like those fair market values, they're way low. Like this is like 1,700. Like wow, that's twice what I paid. 2,700 for this one. So the price is actually much higher than those fair market values. Because there is a demand for the book, and there is that especially that entry level book, because people just want to get the book. They want to get that piece of history, and that's why the ability to resell these comics is fairly high, especially when it's in a low grade. There's just a bigger market to work with. And that's really the whole idea of liquidity, that you want to have something that is an asset that has the ability to go up in value, that you can also sell very, very quickly. And these kind of comics that are blue chips are going to be ones that have that capability. So they have the ability to go up in value and be sold relatively quickly. And that's really all I'm trying to get across with this video. I hope my long-winded explanation of all that makes sense, and that you enjoy this video. Check out my other videos all about investing and buying comics that are low grade as an investment tool. So I hope you enjoy these videos. Check out my other videos as well. I have many unboxing videos and lots of cool spec videos. So thanks for watching. Bye.